Well, hello. I'm Misheard with Misheard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in Season 6, Episode 277, with a Misheard Song Lyric from Radiohead. The misheard lyric is, I'm a creep, I'm a widow, what the hell am I doing here? And then the correct lyrics is, I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo, what the hell am I doing here? You guessed it, it's Radiohead's Creep. And I have to say that most karaoke jockeys, we affectionately call them KJs in the industry, hate when people try. I mean, the word is try to sing this song. In my lifetime, and I'm in 50s, 20, 30 years of going to karaoke, there's only been one man that I've heard. I don't even know who this man is, and he did it justice. It was in one of my favorite karaoke spots in the northwest part of the United States. I'm in Oregon. It's called The Alibi. So now I've given you my favorite karaoke spot. I remember this male singer was very nondescript, and it was a slow simmer till he got to the epic run, run part, and he executed it flawlessly. That's where most singers falter. And so this is the story of the misheard song lyric with Creep. And it does. When you listen to it, I know the right, correct lyric is weirdo, but the way he pronounces it, it sounds like widow. Someone that has lost someone, married to someone that's passed on, if you don't know what widow means. So it's all right, Creep. So it's the debut single by the English rock band Radiohead, released back in, 32 years ago, on September 21st, 2021, by EMI. So yeah, it's been quite a while. And it was included as their second track of their debut album from 1993 called Pablo Honey. I love it. Radiohead has not planned to release Creep and recorded it at the suggestion of some of their producers, Sean Slade and Paul Q. Koldori. We'll talk about that and many more. But the big thing, and I love doing this research, did you know that they actually got sued for this song? And I was like, why? How? What? Well, they took elements from a 1972 song called The Air That I Breathe. It's written by Albert Hammond and Mike Hazelwood, and a legal action ensued. And remember, this song is, sometimes all I need is the air that I breathe and to love you. That's the song. And when you listen to it, and there's actually a couple mashups where people on YouTube have shown this song and they play it over or they mash it up, it's the same song. And what's happened is Radiohead actually took the chord progression from The Air That I Breathe, and that's what made Albert Hammond and Mike Hazelwood's company or music company, Randor Music, go after and take legal action. And maybe this is a song that's made famous by the Hollies. Beautiful song, but I did not know the connection and the lawsuit. Maybe you did. And so, Radiohead, said yes, they were honest. We reused the composition, so they accepted only a small part of the royalties. So the story is, Randor Music, the publisher of The Air That I Breathe, took legal action. The original writers of The Air That I Breathe, Hammond and Hazelwood, received co-writing credits and a percentage of the royalties. And again, Hammond said Radiohead was very honest about reusing the composition, so he and Hazelwood accepted only a small part of the royalties. So there you go. Did not know that. All right, so let's go into more about the song. So what happened was Koldori convinced EMI to release Creep as a single, and it was initially unsuccessful, unbelievably, but achieved radio play in Israel, of all places, and became popular on American alternative rock radio. It was then reissued in 1993 and became an international hit. That's how I remember it. I was, 21, 22? And it's known to be as the alternative rock slacker anthem, such as Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, Loser by Beck, and then reviews of Creep were mostly positive. EMI pressured Radiohead to match success, which created tension during the recording of their second album in 1995 called The Bends. And then they departed from the style of Creep and grew weary of it. So that's always usually the problem, is you get kind of pigeonholed, right? People love that song. They're expecting songs that are like that. And of course, they're artists. They want to stretch and bend and, see what they can do. So it set them into narrow expectations of their music, and they did not perform it for several years. Though they achieved greater commercial and critical success with later albums, Creep remains Radiohead's most successful single, I would agree, and also most try to sing at karaoke bars, not successfully. Rolling Stone actually named it as one of the greatest debut singles and one of the greatest songs. So there you go. A little about Radiohead. So I did mention they're from England. They're actually formed in Abingdon, Oxfordshire in 1985. So those that are listening from Abingdon, Oxfordshire, sorry if I butchered it, but welcome, cheerio. It consists of Tom York. He's vocals, guitar, piano, keyboards, everything. And then the brothers Johnny Greenwood in guitar, keyboards, and other instruments, and bass played by Colin Greenwood. Ed O'Brien was guitar, backing vocals, and Philip Selway did drums and percussion. And they also worked with a producer named Nigel Godrich and the cover artist Stanley Donwood since 1994. The experimental approach is credited with advancing the sound of alternative rock, I would agree. And when they signed to EMI in 1991 and released their debut album that I mentioned, Pablo Honey, in 1983, this was their debut single, which was a worldwide hit, Creep, of course. And I mentioned earlier the critical standing rose with the bands in 1995. Then they went on to make several albums, so I'm just going to list them out. Third album, 1997, called OK Computer. It says it's acclaimed as a landmark record, as one of the best albums in popular music, with complex production and themes of modern alienation. And then their fourth album, called Kid A, came out in 2000, so 3 years later. And then they said marked a dramatic change in style, incorporating influences from electronic music, jazz, classical music, and krautrock. Never heard of krautrock. So then, because of Kid A, the fourth album that came out in 2000, it divided their listeners. It was later named the best album of the decade by multiple outlets. It was also followed by a record called Amnesiac in 2001, recorded in the same session, and then in 2003 album Hail to the Thief, with lyrics addressing the war on terror, blending the band's rock and electronic sides, and was Radiohead's final album for EMI, so 2003, that was it. Then they came back and self-released their seventh album in 2007 called In Rainbows, as a download for which customers could set their own pace to critical and chart success. Interesting. Then in 2011, their eighth album, The King of Limbs, had an exploration of rhythms, and it was developed using extensive looping and sampling of it's something called a Moon-Shaped Pool 2016, prominently featuring Johnny Greenwood's orchestral organizations or arrangements. York, Johnny Greenwood, Selway, and O'Brien have released solo albums since then. And then in 2001, York and Johnny Greenwood debuted a new band called The Smile. Did not know that. And then by 2011, Radiohead had sold more than 30 million albums worldwide. And their accolades include 6 Grammy Awards, 4 Ivor Novello Awards, and they hold 5 Mercury Prize nominations, the most of any act. Amazing. So here's a little bit about back to the song. So according to Greenwood, he said that the lyrics were inspired by a woman who Tom York had followed for a couple days, quote unquote, and who unexpectedly attended a Radiohead performance. I wish I'd get more backstory, because, did they meet? What's going on? So more to delve into it. John Harris, the Oxford correspondent for Melody Maker, said Creep was about a girl who frequented the upmarket Little Clarendon Street in Oxford. And according to John Harris, Tom York preferred the more bohemian Jericho and expressed his discomfort using the lines, "What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here," in the song. Asked if the lyrics were inspired by a real person who made him feel like a creep, Tom York said, quote unquote, "Yeah. It was a pretty strange period of my life when I was at college and stuff, and I was really fucked up and wanted to leave and do proper things with my life, like be in a rock band." That's hilarious. York also said he was not happy with actually the lyrics and thought they were pretty crap. Well, I'm glad he was wrong, right? Asked about Creep then in 1993, York said, quote unquote, "I have a real problem being a man in the 90s. Any man with any sensitivity or conscience toward the opposite sex would have a problem. To actually assert yourself in a masculine way without looking like you're in a hard rock band is very difficult to do." Comes back to the music we write, which is not effeminate, but it's not brutal in its arrogance. It's one of the things I'm always trying to assert a sexual persona, and on the other hand, trying desperately to negate it. Interesting. Greenwood said Creep was in fact a happy song about recognizing what you are. Wow, lots of messages there. Interesting thing too is, because of the special, there's an F word in there, if you know the song. Radiohead actually recorded a censored version for Creep for radio, which replaced that line, "so fucking special," I just said it, to "so very special." They actually worried that issuing a censored version of their song would be considered selling out, but decided it was acceptable to do because their idol Sonic Youth of where I'm from, around the Northwest Washington area, had done the same thing. Nonetheless, Greenwood said the British press were not impressed. During the recording session for the censored lyrics, Colderry convinced York to rewrite the first version, saying he thought York could do better. Interesting. Have you looked at the music video? It's it really brings you back in time. It was uploaded 16 years ago on July 18th, 2008. And I'm dying. It's 1.1 billion with a B views. Not million, B. So a lot of people are watching it, learning to sing it. Who knows? But it's not about a widow. It's about, am I a weirdo? The music video itself was filmed at Venue Oxford, and for the video, Radiohead actually performed a free short concert playing Creeps several times. What they did is they donated the proceeds from audience members to the Oxford magazine Curfew, which is cool. And why did they do it? Because Curfew had covered their early works. They're like, here's how we're going to repay you back for that press. In the audience actually was an electronic musician named Fortet, for those who know who that is. Then a teenager who years later supported Radiohead on tour and collaborated with Tom York. So, 360. Not much to say. I learned a lot that, it was something that Tom York thought it was crappy lyrics, which he was wrong, and that they were sued because they used a 4-chord progression from the actual 1970 song, The Air That I Breathe. And, they were honest, and so had Albert Hammond and Mike Hazelwood as co-writers, as it should be. If you have any great suggestions like this misheard song lyric, please send it to any of our sites like Instagram, Facebook, or you can send me, Misheard, an email at misheardsongs@gmail.com. Till then, keep saying the songs. Bye!